Hi friends, in this video related to capacitance and capacitors, we will first find out the capacitance of a cylindrical capacitor. Then we will find out the capacitance of a spherical capacitor when charge will be given to its inner shell. Then the capacitance of a spherical capacitor when charge will be given to its outer shell. So be ready with your pen and notebook to pen down the derivations of capacitances of these capacitors. Say first we are finding the capacitance of cylindrical capacitor. This cylindrical capacitor will be having two hollow coaxial cylindrical shells made up of conducting material. Inner shell is having a radius A while outer shell is having radius B. In this capacitor, charge plus Q is given to its inner shell, so it distributes uniformly over the entire surface of the inner shell. Its outer shell is earth, and this positive charge given to the inner shell induces a negative charge of same magnitude, that is minus Q, on the inner face of outer shell, while the positive charge induced at the outer face of outer shell is neutralized by the earth. Now we have to find out the capacitance of this capacitor. To determine capacitance of this capacitor, we will be requiring the rise in potential difference across the plates of capacitor. And for determining potential difference across these two shells, we will be requiring electric field in between the shells. That electric field obtained will be integrated from outer shell to inner shell, because outer shell is at zero potential, so it will be integrated from outer shell to inner shell to obtain the potential difference across the shells. Then charge given to the capacitor divided by that potential difference will give us capacitance of the capacitor. We know that electric field in a region can be determined by using Gauss theorem, and for application of Gauss theorem we require a Gaussian surface, and in previous video I have told you how to take a Gaussian surface. So by considering all the properties required by Gaussian surface, the best suited Gaussian surface here in the region between the two cylindrical shells will be a coaxial cylindrical shell. Say if we want to find out electric field at a point P distant R from the axis of capacitor, then we will be requiring a Gaussian surface passing through point P, and the best suited Gaussian surface considering all the properties that are required by the Gaussian surface, the Gaussian surface will be a coaxial cylinder with radius R and height same as that of capacitor. Height of the capacitor we have taken as L. So this dotted one will indicate Gaussian surface. Now we will have to find out the electric flux linked with Gaussian surface. Electric field due to the charge lying within the Gaussian surface. The charge lying within the Gaussian surface is the charge possessed by the inner shell, that is plus Q, and electric field due to this plus Q will be radially outward from the inner shell. And if we are taking an area dA on the curved surface of Gaussian surface, then for that area dA area vector will be radially outward, and also electric field vector will be radially outward. If we come to the flat surfaces of the Gaussian surface, then for flat surface, area vector will be along the axis of capacitor, while electric field will be away from the axis of capacitor. So electric field and area vector will be perpendicular to each other. In the same way, for the lower flat surface, the area vector will be along the axis, while electric field vector away from the axis. So again, electric field vector and area vector will be perpendicular to each other. So for flat surfaces, electric flux linked with Gaussian surface will be 0, and flux will be linked only with the curved surface. So electric flux linked with Gaussian surface, E dot dA is equal to integral E dA cos 0 degree, and this is equal to E being same on the curved surface of Gaussian surface, because Gaussian surface is symmetrical around the inner shell. So E being same will be taken outside the integration, and we will be left with integral dA only. Integral dA means total curved surface area of the Gaussian surface, and that will be 2 pi RL. So E into 2 pi RL. This will give the total electric flux linked with Gaussian surface. By Gauss theorem, the electric flux linked with Gaussian surface is equal to charge enclosed divided by epsilon, and this implies E into 2 pi RL is equal to charge enclosed by Gaussian surface means charge possessed by inner shell, that is Q upon epsilon, and this will give us E is equal to 1 over 2 pi epsilon Q upon R into L. Now potential difference across the shells of the capacitor can be obtained by integrating electric field from outer shell to inner shell, that is from B to A. So V is equal to minus integral E dr, and integration will start from outer shell. So lower limit will be B and upper limit will be A. This is equal to, out of this, Q upon 2 pi epsilon into length will be taken constant. So Q upon 2 pi epsilon L will come out of the integration, and we will be left with 1 upon R dr from B to A. Integration of 1 upon R with respect to R is log R at the base E, and log at the base E can be written as ln, natural logarithm. So it will become minus Q upon 2 pi epsilon L, and ln R limits from B to A. Since there is negative sign in front of this expression, so this negative sign can be accounted by reversing the limits. So this will give Q upon 2 pi epsilon L, and ln lower limit B minus ln upper limit A. We have reverted the limits, and this will give us V is equal to Q upon 2 pi epsilon L into ln B upon A. Now capacitance of capacitor C will be ratio of charge given to the rising potential difference. So Q upon V, and Q will get cancelled, and we will get 2 pi epsilon L upon ln B upon A. This will give the capacitance of cylindrical capacitor. Now we come to capacitance of a spherical capacitor, and first we are considering that the charge is given to the inner shell of the spherical capacitor. This spherical capacitor is having two concentric metallic spherical shells, and the charge is given to the inner shell with the help of a rod that remains insulated from the outer shell. And if the charge given is plus Q, then this plus Q will get distributed uniformly on the entire surface of inner shell, and this plus Q given to the inner shell will induce minus Q at the inner face of outer shell, and same amount of plus Q on the outer face of outer shell. But outer shell being earth, the positive charge induced at the outer face will be neutralized by the earth. So these two charges, plus Q on the outer face of inner shell and minus Q on the inner face of outer shell, will produce a potential difference across the shells, and we have to determine that potential difference. Again, to determine potential difference, we will determine electric field between the shells, and say we want to find out electric field at a distance r from the center of capacitor at point P. Then to find electric field at point P, we will be requiring a Gaussian surface passing through P, and in this case the best suited Gaussian surface will be a concentric spherical shell, and say that concentric spherical shell is represented by this dotted part. Then this dotted part is representing the spherical Gaussian surface of radius r. Now the electric flux linked with Gaussian surface is to be found, and for that, say we are considering a small area dA on the surface of Gaussian surface. Then for this area dA, area vector and electric field vector both will be in same direction. Hence, electric flux linked with Gaussian surface phi will be integral E dot dA. Electric field at each point on this Gaussian surface will be constant, because Gaussian surface is symmetrical around the inner shell, which is containing the charge plus Q. So electric field being constant will be taken outside the integration, and we will get E into integral dA. Integral dA means total surface area of Gaussian surface. As radius of Gaussian surface is r, the total surface area will be 4 pi r square, cos 0 being 1. So E into integral dA 4 pi r square gives the total flux linked with Gaussian surface. Now by Gauss theorem, the flux phi will be charge enclosed. Charge enclosed by Gaussian surface will be the charge possessed by inner shell. So Q, charge enclosed, divided by epsilon. This means E into 4 pi r square is equal to Q upon epsilon, or you may say E is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon Q upon r square. It will be the electric field at point P, and now we will integrate this electric field from outer shell to inner shell, because the potential of outer shell is 0 as it is connected to earth. So potential difference across the metal shells or between the plates of capacitor, we will be integral E dr with negative sign. So limits will be from outer shell to inner shell, means from B to A, So minus, if we will put the value of E, then Q upon 4 pi epsilon will come outside the integration because it is constant. So we will be left with integral r to the power minus 2 with respect to r from B to A. This is equal to minus Q upon 4 pi epsilon. Integration of r raised to the power minus 2 will be r raised to the power minus 2 plus 1 upon minus 2 plus 1, and it will become minus 1 upon r. Limits will be from B to A, minus of minus 1 upon r, and this minus will get cancelled, and we will be left with Q upon 4 pi epsilon and 1 upon r from B to A. This is equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon and 1 upon upper limit, so 1 upon A minus 1 upon lower limit B. This will give the potential difference produced across the plates of spherical capacitor when charge plus Q will be given to its inner shell. And if potential difference we have obtained, then capacitance of capacitor will be charge given Q divided by potential difference developed, and this will give us 4 pi epsilon will come to the numerator divided by 1 upon A minus 1 upon B, because Q will get cancelled with Q, and this will be 4 pi epsilon, and if we will take LCM, then it will become AB upon B minus A. So this will give the capacitance of spherical capacitor when charge plus Q is given to its inner shell. Now for isolated spherical conductor, an isolated spherical conductor can be considered to be a spherical capacitor with its second plate at infinity. So for isolated spherical conductor, we can put B is equal to infinite in this expression of capacitance. So C will be 4 pi epsilon upon 1 upon A, inner shell is there, but outer shell is at infinity. So radius of outer shell will be infinite, so 1 upon infinite. B will be replaced by infinite, and you will get 4 pi epsilon into A, and it proves that a spherical conductor can be assumed to be a spherical capacitor with its second plate at infinity. Now if charge Q were be given to its outer shell, then that charge Q would have distributed on the outer as well as on inner face of outer shell. It means outer and inner face of outer shell will acquire same charge, and if that charge is plus Q, then this plus Q on inner face of outer shell will induce a minus Q on outer face of inner shell, and plus Q induced at the inner face of inner shell will be neutralized by the earth. So this arrangement can be assumed to be the combination of a spherical capacitor formed between outer face of inner shell and inner face of outer shell, and a spherical conductor formed due to the outer face of outer shell. So its capacitance will be capacitance of spherical capacitor plus capacitance of outer shell, and this is equal to capacitance of spherical capacitor. Already we have determined 4 pi epsilon AB upon B minus A plus capacitance of spherical conductor 4 pi epsilon into radius, and radius of outer shell is b. This will give us c is equal to 4 pi epsilon, and if we will take LCM, then b square minus ab will get cancelled with ab, so b square upon b minus a. It will give the capacitance of spherical capacitor when charge will be given to its outer shell while inner shell will be earth.